All right, welcome guys. True Capacity. This is Dr. Andy with James Gillespie. We're here to talk to you guys about some shoulder and hip injuries going on and what you can do about them. What's up, James?
Just living with no shoulder pain currently.
That's good, man. How's your hips? Them tree
They're a little
trunks.
they're well, the legs they're a little skimpy from where they usually are, but that's just because I haven't been lifting as much, haven't been, Bulgarian split squatting at 300 pounds. So, we're just doing what we can.
Have not been doing that.
Nope, have not. Not recently. Not
Okay.
recently.
All right, man. So that's good. No shoulder and no hip pain, at least not from Bulgarian split squatting.
No, no,
So
no, no pain there.
good, man. So how many people do you know that currently might have some shoulder and hip stuff going
Um five or six actually, and four of them are clients. One of them has a slap tear in her hip, but that's not my
on?
client. That's not my client.
Not from what you've done to them. Yeah, no, no, no.
No, 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 no. That definitely was not for me.
Yeah, for sure. Do you want to I guess explain what a slap tear is?
I think you could do the honors, doctor.
Putting that on me. Yeah,
Absolutely.
yeah. So slap tear is an acronym for a superior and lateral, and then anterior and posterior tear in the labrum of the shoulder. The labrum is a thickened piece of not quite fascia, not quite tendon or ligament, but just connective tissue that surrounds the joint from where the humerus, the upper arm bone, fits into the shoulder, and it just makes it sit a little bit deeper with more stability in the shoulder.
Heck yeah. Heck yeah. And
Simple enough.
on daily lessons with Dr. Andy, now everyone knows what a slap tear is. How prevalent are they, Doc?
Well, I guess in my office, or in the office that I work at, so I'm not quite sure how prevalent exactly they would be, but for sure, I would say about 60 to maybe 70%. So that's 6 out of every 10 that walk into the office have some sort of shoulder, I would say, dysfunction going on.
Oh, wow.
Slap, yeah, it's pretty prevalent. Now that can show up as like, doc, I got some pain, or it can show up as, I can't quite move this shoulder as much
Mm-hmm.
as this other one.
Mm-hmm.
But I'll be honest, I honestly, I don't see, but I can probably give an educated guess that there are more slap tears happening in the hip joints than the shoulder joints in today's day and age, especially with uh, the growing, I guess, I wouldn't even say epidemic, but just growing activities that people are doing as far as CrossFit, not calling that out, but just people being more active. You know, doing more stuff on weight bearing joints is going to cause a little bit more dysfunction in hips over
Mm-hmm.
time. So I tend to see a lot more uh, locking and popping of hips in my practice than I do actual slap tears of the shoulders.
Okay. Okay. So tons of prevalence of both shoulder injuries and hip injuries. And I mean, obviously you said something there that I think that most people won't pick up on. You said load bearing, right? Now, why is there such a prevalence with those? Obviously, you said something about CrossFit, but is it repetitive motion? Are we talking posture? Are we talking people are underutilizing in certain times in their life or in certain movement patterns and overutilizing other movement patterns? Like, why is there such a high prevalence of injury?
Yeah, I would say so. That's a it's kind of a multi-faceted answer to
Mm-hmm.
that. So let's start with like those that are more active.
Mm-hmm.
So weight bearing, obviously, we walk on our 2 feet for the most part, right? Some people, tend to maybe spend more time upside down in their hands, such as, people that are involved in sports, um, certain sports, I should say. But it really can depend. So somebody who can just, yeah, chronic use, right, overuse, can lead to tissue failure, which can then lead to more predisposition of dysfunction in joints, and then joints eventually wear and tear and give out. Those that have a more sedentary lifestyle that maybe sit, at an office are in an office at a desk chair for hours on end, or those that drive a whole bunch, they're not getting a whole lot of healthy movement in their hips. So not only does that turn off some muscles that help to stabilize the hip joint, move it appropriately in the joint, that maybe aren't active, that get up and do something. Maybe they step off of a curb wrong, or they bend down to pick up their child, you name it. And that could just be the straw that broke the camel's back. So it can happen to both those that don't necessarily spend a lot of time working out. And it can happen to those that, do. So I think it's one of those things where, slap tears doesn't necessarily mean surgery. It doesn't necessarily mean that there needs to be any kind of invasive, procedure done for it. I think it's more common, and people are able to, I don't want to use the word PT, because I think, not that physical therapy is, it's a great thing, but I don't want to give them, people the notion that, oh my gosh, I have this tear and now I need to quickly run to a professional to get this sorted out. There's a lot of stuff that they can do on their own.
Yeah, but I mean, how would somebody even know that they had that tear without an MRI?
Yeah, MRI, and even with an MRI, it's pretty tough. Yeah,
like how would you wouldn't know? Oh, I have some pain. Oh, my hip hurts. Oh, my shoulder hurts. Well, what is it? Well, I mean, if you're not going to get a scan, like I'm not going to get a spine scan. How do you know?
No, we are going to get your X-rays soon here, James.
I don't know about
that. but I will say, so yeah, I mean, as far as I'm concerned, like you said, the only diagnostic tool outside of certain ortho exams, ortho tests that can't really be confirmative without film is MRI. The treatment's really going to be the same, in my opinion, unless there's dislocation or true subluxation of the hip. So you can spend
meaning what? Define that term for everybody that's listening.
So dislocation is complete detachment of the joints, and then subluxation would be that there's still some articulation.
Separation. There's some separation, but it's just not full.
Correct. Yeah.
So
you can look at it that way.
You might be like here instead of here. Dislocation, subluxation, regular.
Yeah, you can simplify it like that for sure.
All right.
Yes, sir. Yeah,
look
at you, buddy. Yeah. I like that. Yeah. So, and yeah, there's a lot of stuff that people can just do on their own. Maybe at home, also if they go to a gym, there's some stuff that also can help them at the gym. I think it's just like flossing, somebody's teeth, right? Like not everyone does it. Everyone should do it.
I don't.
Right?
I don't. Breath smells fine, but I don't floss.
Nice.
Sorry, dentist.
We'll talk later, James.
Got a lot of stuff I need to work on.
Yeah.
A man in progress.
That'll be the next podcast. But yeah, I think that it's one of those things that, can you go your whole life without doing a lot of these things and potentially live a symptom-free life? Sure. But I think could you stave off if you want to be active, if you don't want to degrade faster? I think that these things can really help you, whether you have a slap tear or you're looking to prevent, any kind of dysfunction or tear in the future.
Yeah. Okay. Well, that's some good actionable insight. Realistically, find the exercises that, and actually, I mean, before we jump off here, some thoughts on some movement patterns or some exercises that somebody at home, like, hey, I have a little bit of hip pain, right? And I know I don't have pain backside, right? Posteriorly, I don't have pain here, there. Like I can identify that this feels like hip, right? What would you say to somebody without an exam, obviously, so it's not a massively informed recommendation, but just for durability in general for shoulders and hips? I mean, what are your top three for both?
Top three for both the hip and the shoulder?
Yeah. And it could be different three, right? But just six exercises, three for each, that would be recommendation with no exam, no medical history, no understanding of what's going on, other than like everyone should probably be doing these to bulletproof or to stave off something that could happen with or without exercise.
Yeah, let's start with the shoulder. So, and I'll say these, and I know that there's probably going to be some questions as far as how they're done, but they can just look them up super easily. So the first for the shoulder is a lower trap 3 raise. So everybody probably knows that we have a trap muscle, and it's just one. but there's 3 divisions of it. So lower just pertains to the lowest part of the trap muscle. So the lower trap
anatomically lowest. We're talking
anatomically. Yeah. Yep. Yeah. Thank you. So anatomically, the lowest on the rib cage and the spine.
Heck yeah.
The trap. So lower trap, 3 rays, external rotations of the shoulder or the glenohumeral joint. You can do those off your knee with a dumbbell or with a band or the cable. And then probably the last one on that one, I would have to probably say sideline or incline dumbbell side raises.
Okay.
So everybody knows the classic, you raise the dumbbells up to the side.
Yeah,
right, and back
eyes,
down
T's,
lateral.
Y's. Everyone's pretty familiar.
Yeah, eyes, T's, Y's. So the only thing that I have against those is just the relation to gravity. So the muscle or shoulder joints are weakest when they're shortest.
Yeah, I got you. Okay.
Yeah, and strongest when they're at length. So I like to do these on my side or a slight incline on an incline bench, and then just raise the dumbbell up that way. So those would be my 3 reps and sets. I really don't want to get into too much, but generally keep it between 2 to 4 sets, anywhere between 6 to 10 reps, I would say.
Okay.
For those
exercises. So our shoulders are taken care of. Now our shoulders are going to be stronger than yours. And now what can we do with our hips?
All right. So hips. So exercise wise, so I like to throw in a little bit of mobility in with these as well.
Everyone hates mobility, Andy. Don't do that.
Everyone
hates mobility. What is wrong with you?
I know I'm the
give
bad
people
news,
what they don't want. Goodness.
I'm the bad news bringer.
That's it.
So what I would say is so definitely knees over toes, single leg split squats.
My favorite.
Yeah, that's how James you got your giant trunks, bro. So single leg split squats, driving your knees out over your toe. I would probably have to say, along with that, any type of glute bridge. So you can do this off the ground, with your back on the ground, with a
single leg, double leg, dumbbell, barbell.
Well, love it, both.
Barbell.
Oh. So if somebody feels comfortable with it, you can do it on a bench. Yep. Yeah, on a bench, on the ground. You can just,
what would be the first regression though? Like if nobody, let's say this is somebody that doesn't have any experience doing barbell weighted hip thrust, nothing, like never done hip thrust. Yeah. Like never done any kind of glute bridge or any of that stuff. Right. Yeah. What was the first, where would you regress all the way to for everybody?
Perfect. Lay on the ground, knees bent. So your feet are on the ground. And then feet, start with them about hip width apart, maybe just slightly wider than that, toes relatively straight. Okay. And then they just push their hips up, keeping their feet flat, maintaining contact through the whole foot.
Got it. And an average distance between glutes and heels.
So the further out you go is going to be more engaging for the hamstrings.
Okay.
So I would say just it should be 90 degrees, 90 degree bend.
Yeah. So shin angle should be basically vertical.
About 10 to 15 degrees angled.
Right on.
I'd say obtusely away from the glutes.
Okay. So a little bit of bend away, right?
Yep.
So a little bit of dorsiflexion in your ankles, nothing crazy.
Yeah, more plantar flexion.
Okay.
I think that's what you're trying to say, right?
So if you're talking 10 degrees, 10 to 15 degrees obtusely away from, so that would be plantar. Yeah. And I'll repeat that, and I'm just going to cut that part out so we don't confuse people.
That's cool. I'm sorry about that. So, and then the last one is, I would just say, this one's going to be a little bit more, you can make this an adductor strengthening exercise, but it's going to be a dynamic adductor. It's called a stretch. So this is where you basically start out in a frog stretch, is where your knees are split apart. And then you take one knee and you extend it. So one knee's bent, knee on the ground, and the other one is straight out to the side. And you just dip your hips back towards your heel, and then you go forward. So back and forth.
Yeah.
So
knee down, people, like half kneeling on an ab mat or on a bench.
I wouldn't do a bench. I would do an ab mat or some type of cushion,
some pillow, something, so that your knee's not like kneecap on the ground.
Yeah. Unless you have carpet. Yeah. Just don't do it on hardwood if you don't want to be uncomfortable. Now, how do you make this a little bit more taxing, I guess, and a strengthening exercise, is you just drive your straight legged heel into the ground and you kind of lift yourself up a little bit using your adductors, the inner muscles of your thigh. But for the most part, I love this just because it gets my adductors loose, because most people don't have enough what's called internal rotation, where the top of their thigh rolls in towards their midline of their belly button. So they don't have that. So this is a great way to just work that and stressing that joint while fighting your adductors. So those three. So glute bridge, the knees over toes split squats, and then the dynamic adductor stretch.
Okay. So that's hips and shoulders. We are done, ready to roll. Appreciate the tips.
You got it, bro.